Hello everyone, welcome back. This is a story from her silent revenge, and it has taken a turn you absolutely didn't expect. Let's begin.
At 2:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. 65 photos, my husband, my sister, in my bed. In the last picture, she was holding a handwritten note. "I'm going to replace you." I thought it was just betrayal, until I zoomed in and noticed a tiny red dot in the corner of the room, the light of a hidden camera recording everything. That was the moment I understood. I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being filmed for a twisted reality show directed by my own husband. They thought the humiliation would break me. They thought I would cry, disappear, and stay silent. But I made a decision that changed everything. Thank you so much for being here. Before we begin, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I'd love to know where my listeners are around the world. Quick note, this story includes fictional elements for entertainment and educational purposes. Any resemblance to real people or places is coincidental, but the message is real and valuable. The phone buzzed at 2:47 in the morning. I knew the exact time because I stared at it afterward, 2:47 a.m. Thursday, March 7th, 2024, and thought about how a life can split in half between one breath and the next. Before the buzz, I was Dr. Victoria Grant family therapist, mother-wife of 12 years. After, I was someone else entirely. The bedroom was dark except for the pale glow of streetlights filtering through the curtains. Denver in early March still carried winter's chill, and I'd buried myself under the down comforter, half asleep, half listening for Maya in the next room. She'd had a nightmare earlier that week, and I'd been sleeping lighter ever since. But it wasn't Maya who woke me. It was my phone vibrating against the walnut nightstand. A message from Willow, my younger sister. "Look who's getting the life you couldn't keep," and below it a single photo, then another, then another. 65 in total. I sat up slowly, the comforter slipping off my shoulders. My throat tightened. My hands didn't shake, not yet, but something cold and sharp settled in my chest right behind my ribs and stayed there. The first photo was Willow and Chase in my bed. Our bed. The one with the gray upholstered headboard I'd spent 2 months choosing. Willow's head on his chest, her blonde hair spilling across his shoulder, his arm around her waist. Both of them smiling like they were posing for an engagement shoot. The second was Willow in my kitchen wearing one of my old college sweatshirts, holding a mug of coffee, barefoot laughing. The third was Chase kissing her neck in my bathroom, the marble countertop I'd insisted on visible in the frame. I scrolled faster. Bedroom, living room, back porch, my office, the one where I saw clients, where people trusted me with their grief and trauma. Willow sitting in my chair, feet up on the desk, Chase's arm draped over the back. Photo 64 was Willow holding up a diamond ring. Not an engagement ring, too small, too delicate, but intentional. Photo 65 was a handwritten note on lined paper held up to the camera in Willow's looping handwriting. "I'm his next wife." I set the phone down. The room was silent except for the hum of the heating vent, and my own breathing slow, controlled the way I'd taught 100 clients to breathe through panic attacks. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't call Chase's name even though his side of the bed was cold and empty, even though his business trip to Chicago was supposed to end tomorrow. I stood up, pulled on my fleece robe, and walked across the hall. Maya's door was cracked open the way she liked it. I peeked inside. She was asleep, curled on her side, her stuffed elephant tucked under one arm. 8 years old, third grade, with his dark hair and my gray-green eyes. I closed her door gently and went back to my bedroom. By 2:50, I was sitting at the edge of the bed with my laptop open, phone in hand, moving on autopilot. First, the bank account. I opened the Chase app and waited for it to load. Our joint checking showed $11,300. Last month, it had been $58,000. I scrolled through the transactions, withdrawal after withdrawal, all electronic transfers to an account I didn't recognize. $47,000 gone. I took a screenshot, then opened Wells Fargo. Our savings account showed the same pattern. Another $12,000 missing over 3 months. I switched to Chase's Google Calendar, which he'd shared with me years ago and never bothered to revoke. Chicago business trip, it said, March 4th through 8th. But I'd seen this before. December, Seattle. January, Austin. February, Phoenix. I pulled up my own calendar and cross-referenced. December, Willow had borrowed my podcast microphone. January, she'd used my office for a virtual interview. February, she'd stayed over because her apartment heat was out. I opened my notes app and started typing a timeline. September 2023. Chase becomes distant. October, Willow starts visiting more often. November, Chase stops initiating physical contact. December through February, frequent business trips. Willow at the house when he's gone. March 7th, 2:47 a.m. 65 photos. I read it twice. The cold clarity I'd felt earlier sharpened into something else. Not anger, yet anger would come later, but focus. The kind of focus I used when a client came in mid-crisis and I had to assess, prioritize, stabilize. I couldn't confront Chase, not yet. If I called him now, he'd delete everything, lawyer up, spin a story. I couldn't post on social media. I couldn't tell my mother or my friends, not until I had a plan. What I needed was someone who dealt in facts and evidence, someone I could trust. By 3:15, I downloaded all 65 photos. I uploaded them to 3 separate cloud accounts, Google Drive, Dropbox, iCloud each, in a private folder with a password only I knew. I renamed them with timestamps and file numbers. I took screenshots of the bank statements and exported Chase's calendar to a PDF. I screenshotted Willow's Instagram. Her follower count had jumped from 120,000 to 450,000 in 6 months, most of them fake bot accounts, but she'd been posting constantly. Motivational quotes, workout selfies, and in the background of 3 recent posts, blurred but unmistakable, my kitchen, my living room. By 4 o'clock, I had a folder labeled Evidence March 2024 with 42 files inside. I opened my contacts and scrolled to the H.S. James Harrington, private investigator. We'd gone to college together at CU Boulder class of 2009. He'd helped me once before 5 years ago when a client's ex-husband had been stalking her. James didn't ask unnecessary questions. He didn't judge. He just worked. I pressed call. It rang 3 times. Then his voice rough with sleep. "Victoria, it's 4 a.m. "I know," I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "I need surveillance today." A pause. I heard him sit up the creak of a mattress. "What happened?" "My husband and my sister. I need everything." Another pause. "I'll be there at 8. Don't do anything until I arrive." "Okay." I hung up and set the phone down. Looked at the screen one last time. Photo 65. The note. I'm his next wife. I picked up the phone again and opened the photo in full screen, stared at Willow's handwriting round and looping the way it had been since high school, stared at Chase's hand in the corner of the frame, resting on her shoulder. They wanted to humiliate me. They wanted me to break. Instead, they'd just handed me ammunition. I closed the photo, set the phone face down on the nightstand, and lay back down under the comforter. And for the first time since 2:47, I smiled. 6 hours later, I learned it was so much worse than an affair. 6 hours later, I sat in James Harrington's surveillance van and watched my life on 9 monitors. The van was parked off Larimer Street in Rhino, wedged between a craft brewery and a mural of a giant blue bear. Inside smelled like coffee and electronics. James had converted the back into a mobile command center laptop hard drive's camera feeds. He handed me a thermos without asking if I wanted any. I took it. My hands were steadier now than they'd been at 2:47, but the cold weight in my chest hadn't moved. 3 weeks, James said, plugging a USB drive into his laptop. I've been tracking him since mid-February. I wasn't expecting this. He opened a folder labeled Grant Surveillance February to March 2024. 3 subfolders. Footage contained 89 video files. I clicked one at random. Chase and Willow at Rioja downtown, holding hands across the table, her head tilted back in that performative laugh she used when she wanted attention. Another file showed a hotel room, Cherry Creek Hotel, based on the logo. Willow in a white bathrobe, Chase by the window on his phone. Another, my living room. Willow's legs draped over his lap on my couch. The timestamp said January 15th, 2 p.m. I'd been at work. Maya had been at school. But that's not the worst part, James said. He opened the second folder documents. Inside were PDFs. The first was a contract, production agreement, the perfect wife replacement. A reality television series. Budget $3.2 million. Executive producer Chase Grant. Production company Grant Media, LLC. I scrolled down. Talent agreement Willow Grant. $85,000 for 12 episodes. 8% profit share. He was paying my sister 8% and keeping 70% for himself. He's producing a reality show, I said slowly, about replacing me. Not just producing. James clicked to the next document, a pitch deck. The Perfect Wife Replacement. A real-time docu-series following a man's journey from a stale marriage to a passionate new love with his wife's younger sister. Tagline. When loyalty ends, desire begins. Episode titles. Episode 1, The Confession. Episode 4, The Replacement. Episode 8, The Confrontation. I stopped reading. He pitched this to networks, 3 of them. All passed, but he was moving forward independently. This wasn't just an affair, it was content. I set the thermos down because my hands were shaking now. What's the third folder? James hesitated. He opened it. Equipment, a spreadsheet, 14-line items. Living room camera, bedroom camera, 1-bedroom camera, 2, master bathroom, kitchen, home office, therapy room, hallway, Maya's bedroom. 14 cameras. Purchase date, August 2023. Installation date, September 5th. Maya's first day of 3rd grade. I'd taken her to school, come home, worked on podcast scripts. Chase had been home that day, said he was working remotely. He's been filming me for 6 months. Filming everyone. You, Maya, your clients when they come to the house for sessions. James pulled up a video feed. My therapy office camera angle from the bookshelf. You could see the couch, the chairs, the tissues. That's a HIPAA violation. Federal crime. If he recorded therapy sessions without consent, that's 10 years per instance. I closed my eyes. Thought about Mrs. Patterson crying about her son's suicide attempt. Marcus, the veteran with PTSD, describing his nightmares. 19-year-old Sarah telling me about her assault, making me promise no one would know. Chase had recorded them, turned their pain into footage. I need a lawyer, I said. I already called Melissa. By 10:30, I was pulling into my driveway like it was any other Thursday. The house looked the same. 2-story Craftsman, white trim, the teal front door Maya had helped me paint 2 summers ago. It looked like a home. It was a crime scene. I called up the stairs. Maya, baby, we need to leave in 5 minutes. She came down in her purple backpack. 8 years old, and she had no idea her father was a stranger, that her aunt was a co-conspirator, that the house had been a stage set. Is Daddy coming home tonight? She asked, climbing into the back seat. I'm not sure, sweetheart. I drove to Greenwood Elementary, the route automatic. I walked Maya to the entrance. Mrs. Sharon Miller, her 3rd grade teacher, was greeting kids by the door. Good morning, Dr. Grant. Morning, Mrs. Miller. Maya's been asking about her Aunt Willow a lot lately. She seems a little anxious. I kept my face neutral. Just some family things. I'll keep an eye on it. Let me know if the school can help. I drove to Melissa's office, downtown 17th Street, floor-to-ceiling windows. Melissa Foster had been my best friend for 15 years, one of the best family law attorneys in Colorado, and I was about to need every bit of her expertise. She met me in the conference room, already surrounded by documents. I'd emailed everything an hour ago. Sit. I sat. She slid a legal pad across the table. Unauthorized recording in a private residence, Colorado Revised Statute 18-7-801. Class 1 misdemeanor up to 18 months. But that's state. If he recorded therapy sessions, that's federal HIPAA violations. The financial fraud, forging signatures on withdrawals, that's identity theft. The reality show contract lists you as a subject without consent. That's exploitation, civil suit territory. Victoria, this isn't just a divorce, this is criminal. What do we do? Restraining order first. File today. I'll draft divorce papers tonight. Freeze the joint account sole access for you. Custody's tricky because he's still her father, but with this evidence, I can argue supervised visitation only, and we need to find out if he's done this before. I looked up. What? If he did this to you, he's done it before. Men like this don't start with 14 cameras and a $3 million budget. They practice. We need to find the others. She leaned forward. But you need a flawless plan. One mistake, one emotional outburst, one piece of evidence we can't verify, and he'll destroy everything else. Can you hold it together? I thought about 2:47 this morning, the cold clarity that had settled in my chest. Yes. Good, go home, act normal. I'll file the restraining order by end of day. At 2 p.m., I heard the garage door open. Chase was home. I was in the kitchen unloading the dishwasher. He walked in tall dark hair, graying at the temples, the charcoal Patagonia quarter zip I'd bought him for Christmas. He smiled. Hey babe, Chicago was exhausting. How was the hotel? Fine, same Marriott as always. I'm gonna grab a shower. Sure. He kissed the top of my head like he'd done 1,000 times, like he wasn't a criminal, like I was still the woman who'd believe him. My phone buzzed. 3 texts from Willow. I didn't open them. Another text from James. Found something else. Call me. Now. I watched Chase disappear upstairs, heard the shower turn on, picked up my phone. For the next 48 hours, I was going to become someone I didn't recognize. But if that's what it took to protect Maya, to reclaim my life, to make sure he never did this to anyone else, then that's who I'd be. I smiled, I cooked dinner, I asked about his day, and every second I wanted to scream. Friday night, I made Chase's favorite meal, ribeye, steak, garlic, mashed potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts. I set the table with the good plates, poured him Cabernet, and when he came downstairs, I kissed his cheek like nothing had changed. This looks amazing, he said, cutting into the steak. What's the occasion? No occasion, just missed cooking for you. The lie tasted like metal, but I kept my face soft the way I'd trained myself in session when a client said something that made my stomach turn. Chase ate and told me about Chicago, some conference he allegedly attended. I nodded. I laughed at his jokes. I refilled his wine. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed. Willow video call. I answered. Her face filled the screen blonde hair in a messy bun sitting in a hotel room. Hey sis, how are you? Miss you. We should do lunch soon. Sure, tomorrow. Perfect. South Pearl, that cafe you like. Sounds good. I smiled. She smiled. Chase smiled. We were all smiling, and it was the most grotesque thing I'd ever been part of. I hung up, finished dinner, loaded the dishwasher while Chase watched a game, and the whole time I thought about the cameras. 14 of them, watching me pretend. Saturday morning, I drove to South Pearl Street. Willow was already at the cafe sitting outside even though it was 45 degrees because she wanted to be seen. She hugged me like we were close, like she hadn't sent me 65 photos 3 days ago. I hugged her back, ordered a latte, sat down and pulled out my phone, set it face down on the table like I was making space. Recording. You look tired, Willow said. Long week. But tell me about you. What's new? She lit up. Oh my God, so much. My followers are blowing up. I hit 450,000 last week. That's amazing. What's driving it? Just consistency, being authentic. She laughed. And I've got this big project coming up. Can't talk about it yet, but it's going to be huge. A project? What kind? She leaned in, lowered her voice. Reality TV. I'm going to be on a show. Well, I'm basically the star. It's still in production, but when it drops, everyone's going to know my name. Wow, what's it about? Can't say yet. NDA stuff. But trust me, it's going to blow up. This is my ticket, Victoria. I'm done being the little sister nobody takes seriously. I sipped my latte. I'm really happy for you, Willow. We talked for another 20 minutes. She showed me her Instagram analytics, her brand partnership emails. I recorded all of it. When we hugged goodbye, I told her I loved her. She said it back. I drove home and uploaded the audio file, labeled it Willow Confession, March 9th. Saturday night, Chase texted at 7, going to the gym, back by 9. I waited 5 minutes after he left, then went upstairs to his office. I unlocked the door with the spare key he'd hidden under his desk drawer, opened his laptop. The password was still Maya's birthday backwards. I found the folder buried in Tax Documents 2019, Inside Season 1, Episodes, 12 files. Episode 1, The Confession. I opened it. A script outline. Scene 1. Chase tells Willow he's leaving Victoria. Scene 2. Willow cries, says she's always loved him. Director's notes in the margins. Make sure to capture Willow's tears. Close up on hands holding. Episode 4, The Replacement. Willow moves into the house. Victoria doesn't know yet. Maya starts calling Willow by her name more than Victoria's. Note, get footage of Maya choosing Willow over Victoria. Gold for custody angle. Episode 8. The Confrontation. The finale. Victoria finds out. Big reveal cameras capture her breakdown in real time. Script notes Victoria's anger and grief will drive the emotional climax. Audience sympathy will pivot to Chase and Willow as the misunderstood lovers. Final shot, Chase and Willow driving away. Victoria alone. At the bottom, a note. If Victoria resists filming, we'll have enough hidden footage to cut the episode anyway. Her breakdown is the ratings gold. I closed the laptop, locked the office. Chase came home at 9:15. I was on the couch reading a book I wasn't processing. He kissed my forehead, said the gym was good. I said, that's great. He went to bed. I stayed up until midnight staring at the wall. Sunday morning, Maya woke me at 8. Mommy, it's art show day. Right. Greenwood Elementary's spring art exhibition. I got dressed, braided Maya's hair, drove us to the school. The gymnasium was full of parents and kids, drawings taped to the walls. Maya pulled me to her section and pointed to her piece. A family portrait, crayon and marker. 4 people. Daddy, Mommy, me. And Aunt Willow. Do you like it? Maya asked. It's beautiful, baby. My voice cracked. Really beautiful. Aunt Willow helped me with the colors last week. Of course she did. I looked up and saw them across the gym. Chase and Willow standing near the refreshment table, talking like they'd arrived separately. Chase saw me, waved. Willow waved. I waved back. We migrated toward each other. A teacher took our picture, all of us standing behind Maya's drawing. Chase's hand on my shoulder, Willow's hand on Maya's. Maya grinning. Me smiling with my teeth clenched. Mommy, are you okay? Maya whispered. You look sad. I'm just so proud of you, sweetheart. I crouched down, hugged her. Over her shoulder, I saw Willow and Chase, both looking at their phones, both smiling. That night after Maya was asleep, I opened Chase's laptop again. Found episode 8. Scrolled to the end. Production notes. Shoot Maya's reaction when Victoria confronts Chase. Child's confusion will add emotional weight. Possible use in custody hearing. My phone buzzed. Melissa, press conference Monday, 10 a.m. Colorado Convention Center. You ready? I looked at Maya's closed door. Thought about her drawing, thought about her name in Chase's script. Thought about 48 hours of smiling when I wanted to scream. I texted back. Yes. I thought I'd seen everything. Then James showed me the folder labeled Maya Content. But that came later. First there was Sunday evening at Washington Park, our tradition every week since Maya was old enough to walk. We took the loop around the duck pond past the flower beds just starting to show green after winter. Maya held my hand, her purple jacket zipped up against the March wind. The sun was setting behind the mountains, turning the sky pink and orange, and for a few minutes I let myself pretend nothing had changed. Mommy, why doesn't Daddy come with us anymore? Maya asked, kicking a pebble along the path. I kept my voice steady. He's busy with work, sweetheart. He's always busy now. She was quiet for a few steps, then softer. Aunt Willow said she's going to be my new mom. Is that true? My heart stopped. I crouched down eye level with her. Who told you that? Daddy. He said you might go away for a while, that I'd stay with him and Aunt Willow. Her gray-green eyes, so much like mine, were wide and worried. Are you going away? I pulled her into a hug, felt her small arms wrap around my neck. Over her shoulder, the park looked the same. Families walking dogs, joggers passing by. Everything normal except nothing was normal. I'm not going anywhere, baby, I promise. But Daddy said, Daddy was wrong. I pulled back, held her face in my hands. I will always be here. Always. Do you believe me? She nodded, but I could see the doubt. Chase had planted it there, and I wanted to scream. Instead, I took her hand and we finished the loop. Got ice cream at the little stand by the parking lot, even though it was too cold. Drove home. I tucked her into bed at 7:30, read her 2 chapters of Charlotte's Web, kissed her forehead. She fell asleep holding her stuffed elephant, and I stood in her doorway for 5 minutes watching her breathe. At 8, I called Melissa. Conference call with James. Now. 10 minutes later, we were on 3-way. James spoke first. Victoria, I need to show you something. Tonight. Can you come to the van? What is it? Not over the phone. Can you get a sitter? I texted Emma Rodriguez, a college student from down the street who'd watched Maya before. She arrived 20 minutes later. I told her I had a work emergency, would be back by midnight. Drove to Rhino, parked behind James's van in the same alley as Thursday. Climbed in the back. Melissa was already there on video call on James's laptop. James didn't waste time. He opened a folder on his external drive. Season 2, Maya content. My stomach dropped before I even clicked it. How many files? I asked. 275. I opened the first one. Maya in her bedroom playing with her dollhouse. The timestamp said September 23, 4 p.m. The camera angle was from her bookshelf hidden behind a row of chapter books. She was alone talking to herself the way kids do, narrating the doll's conversations. She had no idea she was being filmed. I opened another file. October. Maya in the kitchen making a snack peanut butter on crackers. Another. November. Maya watching TV in the living room. Those are level 1, James said. Ambient footage. She doesn't know, but then there's level 2. He clicked a different folder. Maya interview footage. I opened a file. December 10th. Chase sitting on Maya's bed camera propped on her dresser. It looked like a casual conversation, but the framing was too perfect. Hey, Maya Bear. Chase's voice warm and friendly. Let's play a game. If you could have any mommy in the world, who would you pick? Maya, 7 years old, then laughed. Like a movie star. Or maybe someone you already know, like Aunt Willow. Maya tilted her head. Aunt Willow is nice, but I have a mommy. I know, baby. But what if you could have 2 mommies or pick a different one? I don't know, Daddy. Can I have a snack? Chase's voice off camera. Cut, we'll try again tomorrow. I closed the file, opened another. December 15th. Same setup. Chase trying again. Maya, who makes you happier? Mommy or Aunt Willow? Maya looked confused. I don't know. Chase frustrated. Think about it. Who plays with you more? Maya, small voice. Aunt Willow plays more games. Chase excited. Good. Say that again for me. Level 3 was worse. January footage. Willow sitting with Maya at the kitchen table coloring. The camera angle was from the microwave. Maya, sweetie, what if I was your mommy? Would you like that? Maya distracted by her crayons. I guess. Can I have juice? Sure, but first say it for me. Say, I want Willow to be my mommy. Why, just for fun, like pretend. I want Willow to be my mommy, Flat rehearsed. Perfect, Willow's voice pleased. I was shaking. Melissa's voice came through the laptop speaker. Victoria, stop, you don't need to watch more right now. But I did. I opened the production notes James had found buried in the same folder. Season 2. Episode Guide, Episode 1. Maya's Choice. Description: Maya naturally expresses preference for Willow over Victoria. Use footage from December to January to build narrative of neglectful mother versus engaged aunt. Episode 5. The Custody Battle. Description: Chase files for primary custody. Presents Maya's videos as evidence of Victoria's emotional absence. Judge awards custody to Chase. Final scene: Maya moving into new house with Chase and Willow. At the bottom, a note: Maya's confusion and distress will be edited to look like relief at escaping Victoria. Audience sympathy secured. Victoria exits series. Maya becomes the redemption arc for Season 3. He was going to take her, I said. My voice sounded distant, hollow. Not just film her, take her. Yes, Melissa said, but he's not going to, because tomorrow we're going public with all of it. James pulled up one more video. February 24th. Maya in her bedroom at night, Chase sitting on her bed. Maya in pajamas rubbing her eyes. Maya, mommy might have to go away for a while. To a hospital. She's sick. Maya's face crumpled. What, where? A place where they help people who are sad. But you'll stay with me and Aunt Willow. We'll take care of you. Maya started crying. I don't want mommy to go away. Chase hugged her. It's okay, baby. I'll protect you. I promise. The camera note on the file: perfect emotional beat. Use for episode 6, gold. I closed the laptop, sat in the dark van. The air smelled like coffee grounds and metal. Outside, Denver was quiet, just the occasional car passing. I thought about Maya at 7 years old being told her mother was sick, was leaving, didn't love her. being coached to say she wanted a different mother, being filmed crying and told it was perfect. I need to go home, I said. Victoria, I need to see her. I drove home, paid Emma, walked upstairs. Maya's door was still cracked open. I went in, sat on the edge of her bed. She was asleep, the nightlight casting soft shadows. I thought about Chase sitting in this exact spot, telling her I was sick, filming her tears. I thought about Willow at the kitchen table, coaching her to say she wanted a new mother. I thought about 275 videos, every one of them a violation. I pulled out my phone, opened notes, started typing the speech for tomorrow's press conference. By midnight, I had 3 pages. By 1 a.m., I'd practiced it twice. At 1:30, my phone buzzed. Melissa, Allison Hayes confirmed. CNN, CBS, local news, all coming. This goes national tomorrow. I looked at Maya one more time. She shifted in her sleep, hugged her elephant tighter. I thought about the man I'd married 12 years ago, the one who'd held her in the delivery room and cried. That man was gone. This man had turned our daughter into content, her fear into ratings, her innocence into a weapon for a custody fight. I texted Melissa back. Good, let them come. Monday morning, I walked into the convention center and declared war. 43 journalists, 19 cameras, one chance to tell the truth before he could spin it. I stood backstage at the Colorado Convention Center in a windowless room that smelled like carpet cleaner and coffee. It was 9:45 Monday morning. Melissa was on her phone. Allison Hayes, the CNN investigative journalist who'd broken the Airbnb hidden camera story last year, stood beside me reviewing the press packet. She was mid-30s, sharp-eyed, the kind of reporter who didn't sensationalize, but didn't pull punches. Dr. Grant, this is the biggest story I've covered in 10 years, Allison said. Are you sure you're ready? I thought about 2:47 Thursday morning, about Maya asking if I was going away, about 275 videos. I've been ready since 2:47 a.m. Thursday. Melissa closed her phone. Restraining order filed at 8 this morning. Judge Lawson granted it an hour ago. Chase can't contact. You can't come within 500 feet of you, or Maya can't access the house or join accounts. He doesn't know yet. Good. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Navy blazer, white blouse, hair pulled back. I looked calm, professional. That was the point. They're ready for you, a production assistant said. I walked out. 43 journalists sat in rows of folding chairs. 19 cameras lined the back wall. CNN, CBS, ABC, local Denver stations, even the Today Show. The podium stood at the front screen behind me for video. I stepped up. The room went quiet. My name is Dr. Victoria Grant. I'm a licensed family therapist here in Denver, a mother, and as of 4 days ago, I discovered I'm also content for an illegal reality television show. I let that sit for 3 seconds. Watched the journalists lean forward. On Thursday morning at 2:47 a.m., I received 65 photos from my younger sister showing her and my husband in my home, in my bed. In my office, where I see therapy clients. At first I thought it was an affair. Then I learned it was worse. It was entertainment. I nodded to Melissa. She pressed play. The screen behind me lit up. Video package 1 5 minutes we'd edited from James's surveillance and Chase's production footage. First the contract. The Perfect Wife replacement budget, $3.2 million, executive producer Chase Grant. Next, a map of my house with red dots marking 14 hidden camera locations. Bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, my therapy office. The office clip got gasps. Colorado law requires consent for recording in private spaces. Federal HIPAA law requires consent for recording therapy sessions. Chase Grant violated both. He filmed me for 6 months without my knowledge. He filmed my clients without their knowledge. Each instance is a federal crime. The video cut to Chase's confessional footage. Chase in his office smiling. America loves a good betrayal story. Therapist wife, hot younger sister, perfect drama. We're projecting 8 to 10 million viewers premiere night. Then Willow's confessional sitting in a hotel room. This show is my launch. I'm going to be the next big influencer. Chase says I could get 2 million followers in the first month. I waited for the video to end. They filmed me without consent in my own bedroom. They filmed my therapy clients violating federal HIPAA laws. I paused. And worst of all, they filmed my 8-year-old daughter and scripted her words to manufacture evidence for a custody battle. The room erupted. I raised my palm. I'll take questions in a moment, but first I want to be clear. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because what happened to me is happening to other women and children, and silence protects predators. I filed for divorce this morning. I filed a restraining order. I've submitted all evidence to the Denver District Attorney, and I'm telling every woman who's been filmed without consent, every child exploited, for content that you have the right to fight back. I nodded. Questions. 43 hands went up. I pointed to the front row Denver Post. Have you filed for divorce? Yes, this morning. Full custody of my daughter, dissolution of joint assets, civil suit for damages. CBS 4. What about your sister? Willow is an adult who made her own choices, but she's also a victim of manipulation. Chase paid her $85,000 and gave her 8% profit while keeping 70%. She signed a contract for a show that was never going to make her famous, only infamous. ABC. What do you want to happen? I want my daughter protected. I want every woman to know that hidden cameras and exploitation aren't entertainment, they're crimes. And I want Chase Grant held accountable under the full extent of the law. Allison Hayes stood. Do you have proof? I have 89 videos documenting the affair and production. I have contracts signed by Chase and Willow. I have 14 camera locations with 6 months of illegal surveillance. I have production notes detailing plans to use my daughter's footage in a custody battle. I've submitted everything to District Attorney Nathan Ross, a young reporter. How is your daughter? I took a breath. Maya is 8. She's safe. She doesn't know the full extent yet, and I'm working with child psychologists to help her process this appropriately. But she's the reason I'm here. If I stay silent, Chase keeps the power. If I speak up, maybe the next mother doesn't have to go through this. The questions went for another 10 minutes. Melissa stepped in. Dr. Grant needs to get back to her daughter. Thank you. I stepped down. The room buzzed, reporters on phones, cameras packing. Melissa handed me my phone. 214 text messages, 57 missed calls. Supportive messages from clients, colleagues, strangers. 3 calls from my mother, 1 from Chase. I didn't listen. Melissa was on her laptop. Victoria, it's on Twitter. 15,000 retweets in 10 minutes. Hashtag perfect wife scam is trending. News alert CBS 4. Denver breaking local therapist exposes husband's reality show scheme, alleges hidden cameras and child exploitation. James texted. Chase just tried to access his office. Locks changed. He's panicking. Drove past your house twice, restraining order stops him. Willow deleted her Instagram 20 minutes ago. All 450,000 followers gone. Melissa smiled, the first real smile in 4 days. He's done. By tonight, this will be national. By Tuesday afternoon, the video had been shared more than 200,000 times. Going viral sounds glamorous. It's not. It's 200,000 strangers debating your life while you're trying to make your daughter breakfast. I woke up Tuesday morning to 847 Instagram DMs. I didn't open the app. Couldn't. My phone had been buzzing since 5 a.m. notifications stacked on notifications, and I'd turned off the sound sometime around dawn when Maya knocked on my door asking if we had pancake mix. We did. I made pancakes while my phone vibrated itself across the kitchen counter. Maya ate with syrup on her chin, asking about her spelling test, and I nodded and said she'd do great. And the whole time my screen lit up with strangers' faces, strangers' opinions. Strangers who thought they knew me because they'd seen 5 minutes of curated footage on the news. By the time I dropped Maya at school, hashtag perfect wife scam was trending nationally. Melissa texted me the numbers. Twitter, 35,000 tweets. Instagram, 15,000 posts. TikTok, 50-plus reaction videos with a combined 2 million views. I sat in my car in the Greenwood Elementary parking lot and scrolled through a few. A woman in her 20s crying, saying this happened to her ex-boyfriend's hidden camera. A man in his 40s angry, calling Chase a predator. A teenager doing a sarcastic voiceover about how reality TV ruins lives. Most were supportive, some weren't. There were men in the comments saying I was lying, that I was trying to destroy Chase for money, that women always play victim. I closed the app. CNN ran the story at 8 a.m. Local therapists' shocking expose of husband's reality show scheme. The Today Show did a segment at 9. Is reality TV going too far? A panel of 3 people I'd never met debated whether I should have gone to the police first or the press, whether Willow was complicit or a victim, whether Chase deserved due process before public humiliation. I turned off the TV, drove to the courthouse. The restraining order hearing was at 2 p.m. Denver County Court 4th floor courtroom C. I sat beside Melissa at the plaintiff's table. Chase sat across the aisle with his lawyer, a man named Stephen Bradley I'd never seen before. Expensive suit, silver hair, the kind of attorney you hire when you're in serious trouble and have money to burn. Judge Margaret Lawson entered a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. She looked at the file, looked at us, looked at Chase. Mr. Bradley, your client is requesting dismissal of the temporary restraining order filed yesterday by Dr. Grant. What's your argument? Stephen Bradley stood. Your Honor, my client denies all allegations made by Dr. Grant in her very public press conference. Dr. Grant is fabricating evidence in an attempt to gain advantage in what should be a private divorce proceeding. The so-called surveillance footage is taken out of context and the cameras were installed for legitimate home security purposes. We believe, Dr. Grant is emotionally unstable and using the legal system as a weapon. Judge Lawson looked at Melissa. Counselor, Melissa stood calm. Your Honor, we've submitted 89 videos, 14 camera locations with metadata, timestamps, production contracts with Chase Grant's signature and confessional footage where Mr. Grant explicitly describes filming his wife without consent for a reality television show. We've also submitted evidence that Mr. Grant filmed Dr. Grant's therapy clients without consent, a federal HIPAA violation. This is not a he said, she said. This is documented criminal activity. Judge Lawson flipped through the file, looked up. Mr. Bradley, I've reviewed the video evidence. The cameras are real. The footage is timestamped and geotagged. Your client's confessional clearly states he filmed Dr. Grant without her knowledge. Unless you have evidence to the contrary, I'm not interested in arguments about emotional instability. Stephen Bradley sat down. Judge Lawson looked at Chase. Mr. Grant, I'm granting the temporary restraining order. You are prohibited from contacting Dr. Grant or your daughter Maya by any means. You may not enter the marital home. You may not access joint financial accounts. Violation will result in immediate arrest. We'll reconvene in 2 weeks for a full hearing. Dismissed. Chase stood face red. This is insane. She's destroying me for revenge. I stood, looked at him across the aisle. I'm protecting our daughter. Judge Lawson's gavel came down. Mr. Grant, one more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt. Leave the courtroom. Chase left. Stephen Bradley followed phone already at his ear. I walked out with Melissa. In the hallway, reporters waited cameras up. I didn't stop. Melissa gave them a prepared statement. Restraining order granted full hearing in 2 weeks. Dr. Grant requests privacy for her daughter. We took the back exit to the parking garage. Wednesday morning, I had over 1,000 messages. Most were supportive. Women telling me their stories, thanking me for speaking up, asking how they could help. 3 major media requests. Good Morning America wanted me for a live interview Friday. Dr. Phil wanted a full episode. 60 Minutes wanted an in-depth segment, no time limit, serious journalism. I chose 60 Minutes. Melissa scheduled it for late April after the legal hearings were settled. One email stood out, subject line, he did this to me too, sender Jennifer Wallace. I opened it. Dr. Grant, I saw your press conference. I couldn't believe it when I saw Chase's face. 4 years ago, I was engaged to him. He convinced me to be part of a reality show called Millennial Love. I signed a contract. 6 months later, I found cameras in my apartment I hadn't agreed to. When I confronted him, he threatened to release unflattering footage unless I paid him $50,000 for production costs. I paid. I signed an NDA. I've been silent for 4 years. I can't stay silent anymore. If you need my testimony, I'll give it. Jennifer Wallace. I forwarded the email to Melissa, called her. We have another victim. I'll reach out to her today. If she'll testify, we can establish a pattern. That changes everything. Wednesday evening, Chase posted a video on Instagram. I didn't watch it, but Melissa sent me a screenshot. Chase in a hotel room, sitting on the bed, looking directly at camera. I'm being falsely accused by my wife, who is mentally unstable. I'm fighting for my reputation and my daughter. The truth will come out. The comment section loaded faster than the video. 90% were negative toward Chase. Liar, abuser, predator. 10% were men's rights advocates saying he was being railroaded. 4 hours later, the video was gone. Flagged for misinformation, Instagram removed it. My phone buzzed. James, found the first one. Jennifer Wallace, 2020. Same pattern. She'll talk. I texted back. When? Tomorrow, James replied. Melissa's setting it up. I looked out my kitchen window. The neighborhood was quiet streetlights just coming on. Maya was upstairs doing homework. My life looked normal from the outside. Inside, everything had shifted. 4 days ago, I was a wife. Now I was a plaintiff, a headline, a story, strangers debated. But I wasn't alone. Jennifer Wallace had survived Chase 4 years ago. If she could testify, we could prove this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern. Wednesday. I met the woman who could prove I wasn't the first. Jennifer Wallace was 41, a marketing executive, and 4 years ago, she'd almost married Chase Grant. We met at a Starbucks on Capitol Hill Wednesday afternoon, tucked into a corner booth, away from the crowd. Jennifer was already there, hands wrapped around a paper cup, dark hair pulled back navy blazer over white shirt. Professional but guarded. Melissa and I sat across from her. Thank you for meeting us, I said. Jennifer nodded. I saw your press conference Monday. When I saw Chase's face, I thought I was going to be sick. I couldn't believe he was still doing it. Still, Melissa leaned forward, pen ready. 4 years ago, I met Chase on a dating app. We dated 6 months, got engaged in February 2020. A month later, he pitched a reality show idea, Millennial Love Second Chances, about modern relationships, blended families. I thought it was silly but harmless. I signed a contract, $20,000 upfront, 10% profits. He'd handle production, mostly at my apartment. She paused, hands shaking slightly. 2 months in, I came home early and found him installing a camera behind my bedroom headboard. I asked what he was doing. He said it was for the show. I checked the contract. Nowhere did it say he could film in my bedroom without me there. I started looking. Found cameras in my bathroom, my home office, my daughter's bedroom. My chest tightened. Your daughter? Madison, she was 14. Didn't know about the show, didn't know she was being filmed. I confronted Chase. Told him the deal was off. He said fine, but I owed him $50,000 for production costs. I said that was insane. He said if I didn't pay, he'd release footage. Me getting dressed, me crying on the phone, me having wine and talking to myself. He'd edit it to make me look unstable, send it to my employer. My boss was very conservative, image conscious. Chase knew that. Did you pay? Melissa asked. $45,000. Everything in my savings. He made me sign an NDA. I couldn't talk about the show, the cameras, the money. If I did, he'd sue me. I broke off the engagement. Haven't spoken to him since. Melissa set down her pen. Jennifer ND as don't cover crimes. If Chase committed fraud or extortion, the NDA is void. You can testify. Hope flickered in Jennifer's eyes. I can help. Did he film anyone else? I asked. Just Madison. When I saw your press conference and heard he filmed your daughter, I wanted to scream. I thought if I stayed quiet, it would go away. But he's still doing it. Melissa leaned forward. If we prove a pattern, the DA will escalate to federal charges. You in 2020, Victoria in 2024. 2 victims 4 years apart, same methods. Jennifer, we need you. Jennifer looked at me. If I do this, he'll come after me. Say I'm lying. He's already saying that about me, I said. Told a judge yesterday I'm mentally unstable. Doesn't make it true. The more of us who speak up, the harder it is for him to discredit all of us. Jennifer took a breath. Okay, I'll testify. I kept everything. The contract, the NDA, the bank transfer showing $45,000. Melissa made notes. I'll contact the DA today. If we establish conspiracy and fraud, the FBI might take it. Did Chase take you across state lines? Any trips? We went to Vail for a weekend. He filmed everything. That's federal jurisdiction. Wire fraud, interstate commerce. Melissa's pen moved fast. Jennifer's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, showed me the screen. A text from Madison. Mom, I saw the news. Is that the same guy? Can I help? That's my daughter. She's 18 now, freshman at CU Boulder. She wrote her college essay about privacy, about being filmed in her own home without knowing. She didn't name Chase, but the trauma's still there. I thought about Maya asking if I was going away. Tell her she's brave. Tell her yes, she can help. Jennifer typed a response. I've been silent for 4 years. I told myself it was over, he'd moved on, I was safe. But you weren't safe. Maya wasn't safe. How many others weren't safe because I didn't speak up? You're speaking up now, I said. That's what matters. We stayed another 20 minutes. Melissa walked Jennifer through testimony, what the DA would ask, what Chase's defense might argue. Jennifer agreed to everything. When we left, she hugged me in the parking lot. Thank you for being braver than I was. You were brave 4 years ago. You protected your daughter. Now we protect everyone else's. I drove home as the sun set behind the Rockies sky turning pink and gold. Melissa was on the phone with the DA. Jennifer was driving back to her rebuilt life. And I was thinking about the question circling my mind since Monday. If Chase did this to Jennifer in 2020 and to me in 2024, how many others were there in between? How many women paid him to stay quiet? How many daughters were filmed and never knew? That night, I made myself watch every single video of Maya, all 275. Some things you can't unsee. A mother shouldn't have to watch her child being manipulated frame by frame. It was 9 p.m. Wednesday night. I'd tucked Maya into bed an hour ago, read her 2 chapters of Matilda, kissed her forehead, told her I loved her more than anything. She'd smiled and said, I know Mommy, and fallen asleep holding her elephant. Now I sat in my home office with the door-locked laptop open, external hard drive plugged in. 275 video files organized by date, September 2023 through February 2024. 6 months of my daughter's life recorded without her knowledge, weaponized for a custody battle she didn't know was coming. I couldn't do this alone. I called Dr. Susan Reynolds, a child psychologist I'd known for 8 years, someone I'd referred clients to when their kids needed more help than I could give. She answered on the second ring. Victoria, how are you holding up? I need to watch the videos, the ones of Maya, all of them. I can't do it alone. A pause. Then, give me 5 minutes, I'll video call you, don't start without me. 5 minutes later, her face filled a window on my screen. She was in her home office, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses on, 60 years old and the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. Okay, she said. I'm here, we'll do this together, but if it gets too much, we stop. Agreed. Agreed. I opened the first folder. Level 1, ambient footage. Clicked the first file. September 10th, 4:15 p.m. Maya's bedroom. Camera angle from her bookshelf hidden behind chapter books. Maya sat on her floor playing with her dollhouse, narrating a story about a princess and a dragon. She was 7 then, her voice high and sweet, completely unaware she was being watched. I let it play for 2 minutes, closed it, opened another. October 5th. Maya in the kitchen making a snack, humming to herself. November 2nd. Maya watching TV, laughing at something on screen. She looks happy, I said, my voice cracked. She was happy, Susan said gently. She still is. He didn't break her, Victoria. You protected her before she even knew she needed protecting. I wiped my eyes and opened the second folder. Level 2 interview footage. December 10th. Chase sitting on Maya's bed camera, propped on her dresser. Too perfect to be casual. Hey, Maya Bear, let's play a game. If you could have any mommy in the world, who would you pick? Maya, 7 years old, giggled. Like a movie star. Or maybe someone you already know, like Aunt Willow. Maya tilted her head confused. Aunt Willow is nice, but I have a mommy. I know, baby, but what if you could pick a different one? I don't know, Daddy. Can I have a snack? Chase's voice off camera, frustrated. Cut. We'll try again tomorrow. I closed the file. Open the next. December 15th. Same bedroom, same setup. Chase trying again. Maya, who makes you happier? Mommy or Aunt Willow? Maya looked confused. I don't know. Chase persistent. Think about it. Who plays with you more? Maya, small voice. Aunt Willow plays more games. Chase excited. Good, say that again for me. Maya rehearsed. Aunt Willow plays more games. I felt sick. Susan's voice came through the speakers. He's coaching her, leading questions. This is textbook manipulation. She's 7, I whispered. She doesn't understand what he's doing. That's why it's abuse. I opened another file. January 8th, Willow and Maya at the kitchen table coloring. Camera angle from the microwave. Maya, sweetie, what if I was your mommy? Would you like that? Maya distracted by crayons. I guess. Can I have juice? Sure, but first say it for me. Say I want Willow to be my mommy. Why, just for fun, like pretend. Maya flat emotionless. I want Willow to be my mommy. Willow's voice pleased. Perfect. I paused the video. Put my face in my hands. Susan waited, didn't push. After a minute, I looked up. She didn't mean it. He made her say it. I know. A judge will know too. This is evidence of coercion. I kept going. January 20th. Chase showing Maya pictures on his phone, asking her to pick which house she'd like to live in. His new apartment or our house? Maya picked his because it had a pool. February 3rd. Willow teaching Maya to say, Mommy doesn't play with me anymore. Maya giggling because she thought it was a joke. February 10th. Chase filming Maya's reaction when he told her I was too busy with work to come to her school play. I had been there, front row. But Maya's face on camera looked hurt, confused, and Chase captured every second. The last file was dated February 24th. I almost didn't open it. Susan's voice soft. You can stop. You've seen enough. No, I need to see it all. I clicked. Maya's bedroom at night. Maya in pajamas rubbing her eyes. Chase sitting beside her on the bed. Maya mommy might have to go away for a while to a hospital. She's sick. Maya's face crumpled. What, where? A place where they help people who are sad. But you'll stay with me and Aunt Willow. We'll take care of you. Maya started crying. Real tears. Real fear. I don't want Mommy to go away. Chase pulled her into a hug. It's okay, baby. I'll protect you. I promise. The camera held on her face, her small shoulders shaking, her voice muffled against his chest. Why doesn't Mommy love me anymore? Chase's voice soothing. She does, baby. She just can't show it right now. The screen went black. Text overlay production notes. Perfect emotional beat. Used for episode 6. Gold. I closed the laptop. Sat in the dark. My office smelled like the lavender candle I'd burned earlier, but it felt suffocating now. Outside, Denver was quiet. It was almost 2 a.m. I'd been watching for 5 hours. Susan's face was still on the screen waiting. Victoria. I'm here. That was the worst one, wasn't it? He told her I didn't love her. He filmed her crying and called it gold. My voice shook. She's 8 years old. She still asks me every night if I'm going away. And what do you tell her? I tell her I'm never leaving, that I'll always be here. Then he didn't win. He tried to destroy your bond and he failed. Maya still trusts you. That's what matters. I looked at the closed laptop. 275 files. 6 months of psychological warfare against a child. Against my child. He's going to pay for every second of her fear. Susan nodded. I'll write a formal evaluation for the court. Document every instance of manipulation. It'll be part of the custody case. Thank you. Get some sleep, Victoria. You've done enough tonight. I ended the call, sat alone in the dark office, thought about Maya asleep down the hall, safe in her bed, dreaming about whatever 8-year-olds dream about. Thought about Chase in some hotel room thinking he'd outsmarted me, thinking those videos would destroy me. He was wrong. They were going to destroy him. Over the next 2 weeks, we built a case that could bury him forever. A courtroom isn't a stage. You don't win with tears. You win with documents, witnesses, and a timeline so tight he can't lie his way out. Over 2 weeks in March, Melissa's conference room became Command Central. We covered the long table with boxes of printed evidence organized by category. Financial video contracts, witness statements. I spent hours there drinking cold coffee and learning to think like a prosecutor instead of a therapist. Chase had spent 6 months building his show. We had 2 weeks to dismantle it. Week 1 started with inventory. Melissa, James, and I went through everything. The financial damage was worse than I'd thought. Not 47,000 missing from our accounts, but 485,000. Chase had been siphoning money since September. Small transfers I hadn't noticed because I trusted him to manage our joint accounts. 15,000 here, 20,000 there, always with a story. New clients, business expenses, investment opportunities, all lies. The money went to a shell company he'd created, Grant Media, LLC, registered in his name only with a P.O. box I'd never heard of. Melissa's forensic accountant traced every transfer. Each one had a forged digital signature. My name, my authorization, none of it real. Identity theft. Melissa said, highlighting a bank statement, every forged signature is a separate count. We're looking at dozens of charges just on the financial fraud. James added the video evidence, 89 files documenting the affair pulled from his 3 weeks of surveillance. Chase and Willow at restaurants, hotels, my house when I was at work. Then the 14 hidden cameras, living room, both bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchen, my home office where I saw clients twice a week. Each camera location had metadata timestamps, purchase receipts from August 2023. Chase had bought them on Amazon, shipped to his office, installed them himself over Labor Day weekend when I'd taken Maya to visit my mother in Boulder. The therapy office recordings are federal, Melissa said. HIPAA violations. Mrs. Patterson, Marcus, Sarah, every client filmed without consent. That's 10 years per instance if the DA wants to push it. The contracts were damning. The Perfect Wife replacement production budget, $3.2 million executive producer, Chase Grant 70% profit share. Willow's talent agreement, $85,000 for 12 episodes, 8% profit. She'd signed away her dignity for pennies while Chase kept the bulk. James opened his laptop. There's more. I found a folder on Chase's computer labeled backup plan. It's a contingency. If the show didn't sell, he was going to blackmail you. Threatened to release footage unless you paid him to delete it. Same thing he did to Jennifer Wallace. He was always going to hurt me, I said. The show was just the preferred method, which makes this conspiracy not a crime of passion, Melissa said. Premeditated, calculated. A judge will see that. We moved to witnesses. Jennifer Wallace flew in from Seattle, gave a deposition about 2020. The reality show pitched the hidden cameras, the $50,000 extortion, the NDA she'd signed under duress. Her daughter, Madison, now 18, wrote a victim impact statement about being filmed at 14 without consent, about 4 years of therapy to feel safe in her own home again. Mrs. Sharon Miller, Maya's third-grade teacher, agreed to testify. She'd kept notes from January and February when Maya's behavior changed. More anxious, more clingy drawings that shifted from bright family scenes to darker themes. Mrs. Miller had emailed me twice asking if everything was okay at home. I'd said yes, work stress, nothing to worry about. Now those emails were evidence. Dr. Sarah Goldstein. Maya's pediatrician pulled Maya's records. February checkup, she'd noted withdrawn behavior, Maya asking if her mommy was sick. Doctor. Goldstein had asked me about it during the appointment. I'd said no, Maya must have picked it up from a friend at school. Another lie I'd believed. Emma Rodriguez, the college student who babysat for us, gave a statement. Chase had told her to leave the house every Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m., said he needed privacy for work calls. Those were the afternoons he filmed with Willow. Emma had thought it was strange but hadn't questioned it. Now she felt complicit guilty. I told her she wasn't. She was 20 years old and trusted an adult. That wasn't her fault. Week 2. Derek Morgan, a forensic accountant Melissa hired, traced every dollar. $485,000 out of our accounts. $320,000 into Grant Media, LLC. $67,000 for camera equipment, software, hard drives. $85,000 to Willow as her acting fee. $15,000 to someone named Ryan Mitchell for consulting services. James looked up Ryan Mitchell, tech consultant background in IT security, a hacker. He hired someone to hack your office database, James said. That's how he got client files. For what? Backup plan. If you fought the divorce, he'd threatened to release patient information. HIPAA violations, blackmail, extortion. He had layers. I felt cold. Chase hadn't just filmed my clients. He'd stolen their files. Names, diagnoses, session notes. Everything they'd trusted me to keep private. Melissa made a note. That's federal computer fraud. Adds years to potential sentencing. We met with Ada Nathan Ross at the DA's office, 4th floor of the city and county building downtown. Nathan was early 40s, sharp suit reputation for not losing cases he believed in. He reviewed our evidence for 2 hours. Financial forensics video metadata, contracts, witness statements, Jennifer Wallace's deposition. When he finished, he looked up. Dr. Grant, we can charge unauthorized recording under Colorado statute class 1 misdemeanor. We can charge financial fraud, identity theft. But the child exploitation piece, that's federal. I'll refer it to the FBI. If they take it, Chase is looking at significant prison time. How long? I asked. Federal sentencing guidelines for child exploitation, 5 to 20 years, depending on severity. Add financial fraud, computer crimes, conspiracy. He could get 30 years if a judge stacks the counts. Melissa leaned forward. What about Willow? Conspiracy, potentially. But if she cooperates, testifies against Chase, we can negotiate. Probation community service, maybe suspended sentence. I thought about Willow. 26 years old, manipulated by a man twice her age, but also complicit in filming my daughter and coaching Maya to say she wanted a different mother. I didn't know if I could forgive that. But if her testimony buried Chase, maybe it was worth it. Nathan stood, shook my hand. We'll file formal charges next week. Judge Lawson will set a trial date. Could be 60 to 90 days. Fast-tracked because of the child victim. We left the DA's office as the sun set over downtown Denver, the skyline turning gold. Melissa looked at her phone. We have everything. He can't win. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then I did. Victoria. Willow's voice shaking, crying. I need to talk to you. Please. I looked at Melissa. She mouthed speaker. I put the call on speaker. What do you want, Willow? I need to see you. There's something you need to know. Something Chase didn't tell me. I didn't want to hear her voice, but I needed to know what she knew. My sister betrayed me. But that night, I realized she'd been betrayed too. The call came through on speaker in Melissa's car. We were driving back from the DA's office when Willow's voice filled the space between us, shaking and raw. Victoria, I didn't know about Maya. I swear I didn't know. I kept my voice flat. You were there. You filmed with him. He told me the show was about us, our love story. He said you'd already agreed to it, that you wanted exposure for your practice. He said it would help your podcast grow. She was crying now, words tumbling out. He showed me a contract with your signature. I thought you knew. I never signed anything. A pause. Breathing. I know that now. Victoria, please. I need to see you. There's something he's been hiding from both of us. I looked at Melissa. She mouthed, meet her. Public place. I don't trust this, but we need to know. Union Station. I said, 8 p.m. I'm bringing my lawyer. Okay, thank you. I hung up. Melissa drove us straight there. Union Station at night was all warm light and echoing voices, tourists with luggage commuters heading home. Willow sat on a bench near the main hall, and I almost didn't recognize her. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, jeans and an oversized sweatshirt instead of the curated outfits she used to post. She looked smaller somehow, like the confidence she'd always carried had been stripped away. She stood when she saw us, didn't try to hug me. Smart. We sat on a bench away from the crowd, Melissa beside me, notebook out, Willow across from us, hands twisting in her lap. You said there's something I need to know, I said. Willow nodded. But first I need you to understand. I didn't know about the cameras in your therapy office. I didn't know he was coaching Maya. I thought... Her voice broke. I thought he loved me. He paid you $85,000 and gave you 8% profit. I said, that's not love. That's employment. I know that now. I've lost everything, Victoria. 450,000 followers gone. I deleted my accounts because the comments were... She stopped, wiped her eyes. I can't pay rent. My friends won't talk to me. My agent dropped me. I thought this show was going to make me somebody. Instead, I'm the woman who slept with her sister's husband and helped destroy a family. I felt nothing. No sympathy, no anger, just cold assessment. You sent me 65 photos at 2:47 in the morning. You wrote I'm his next wife on a piece of paper and held it up like a trophy. You wanted me to know. You wanted me to hurt. He told me to Willow whispered. He said it would launch the storyline, create drama for the premiere. I thought it was scripted. I didn't realize. She looked up at me and her eyes were red, exhausted. I didn't realize I was hurting you. I thought you were in on it. I thought we were all acting. Melissa leaned forward. Willow, did you know about the 14 hidden cameras? No, Chase said we had 3 cameras, living room, kitchen, bedroom, for filming us together. He said you'd approve the locations. I pulled out my phone, showed her the list James had compiled. Living room camera 1, living room camera 2, bedroom camera 1, bedroom camera 2, master bathroom, guest bathroom, kitchen. Home office therapy room, hallway, front porch, back porch, garage, Maya's bedroom, basement, attic, 14 cameras, September through February. Do you know what was filmed in my therapy office? Willow's face went white. No. My clients, without their consent, federal HIPAA violations. People who came to me for help filmed by my husband for a reality show they didn't know existed. Oh my God, Willow covered her mouth. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. What about Maya? I asked. The question I needed answered most. Did you know he was coaching her to say she wanted you as her mother? Willow looked down at her hands. He told me Maya said that on her own. He'd show me videos of her saying she wanted to live with us, that she loved me more. I thought, her voice cracked again. I thought it was real. I thought she did love me. She's 8 years old, I said. He manipulated her and you were part of it. I didn't know. Tears streamed down Willow's face now. I thought she genuinely liked me. He'd have me teach her things, play games with her, and then he'd film us. I thought we were just bonding. I didn't know he was editing it, using it against you. Melissa made a note. Willow, the DA's office is building a case. If you testify against Chase, tell them everything he told you, everything he made you do. They might reduce charges. Conspiracy can mean prison time, but cooperation can mean probation. I'll testify, Willow said immediately. I'll tell them everything. He lied to me about the contract. He lied about you knowing. He said we'd both make millions, that I'd be famous. Instead, I'm the villain. I stood. The conversation was draining me, and I needed to get home to Maya. I hope you get help, Willow. Therapy. Whatever you need. But I can't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Willow stood too, nodded. I understand. She looked at me younger, suddenly vulnerable. There's one more thing. Chase has files. Patient files. He told me last week that if you didn't back down, if you kept pushing the case, he'd release them. Medical records, therapy session notes, everything. He said it was his insurance policy. My blood went cold. He told you that 2 days before your press conference. He was panicking, said he needed leverage. He's got them saved somewhere. I don't know where, but he said if you try to destroy him, he'll destroy your clients first. Melissa's pen moved fast. That's blackmail, extortion. We need to tell the DA immediately. Willow looked at me one last time. I'm sorry, Victoria, for all of it. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. I didn't respond. Just walked away, Melissa beside me. Outside, the March air was cold, the city lights bright against the dark sky. My phone buzzed. James. Found Ryan Mitchell, the hacker Chase hired. He's willing to talk. Says Chase has a dead man switch on the patient files. If Chase gets arrested, files auto-release unless he stops it. I texted back. Set up a meeting tomorrow. Melissa looked at me. We're going to need a plan, a very careful plan. Then we make one. I thought about the second press conference we'd been planning, the one where I'd go even more public, bring in Jennifer Wallace and Madison, show the pattern. Now there was a new complication. Chase had a bomb, and if we pushed him too hard, he'd detonate it and take 127 innocent people with him. April 3rd, I held the second press conference. This time I wasn't alone. The first press conference exposed a show. The second one exposed a predator. The Denver Public Library auditorium was packed. Over 200 people filled the seats. 30 media outlets lined the back wall with cameras, and hand-painted signs dotted the crowd. Protect our children. Reality TV does not equal child abuse. I stood backstage with Jennifer Wallace and her daughter Madison, now 18 freshmen at CU Boulder, with steady eyes and a quiet strength that reminded me of Maya. Melissa was there too, reviewing notes one last time. Allison Hayes from CNN would moderate again. "Ready?" Allison asked. I looked at Jennifer at Madison. They both nodded. "Ready." We walked out together. The audience stood applause filling the space before we even reached our seats at the panel table. Victoria, Jennifer, Madison, Melissa. 4 women against one man's cruelty. I sat at the center microphone, took a breath, and began. 3 weeks ago, I stood at a press conference and told you my husband filmed an illegal reality show. I told you he filmed me without consent, filmed my therapy clients, violated federal law. Today I'm here to tell you it's worse. He didn't just film me, he filmed children. The room went silent. I nodded to Melissa. She pressed play. The screen behind us lit up with a 30-second video montage we'd edited from the 275 files. Maya playing alone, unaware. Maya being interviewed by Chase, confused. Maya crying, asking why mommy didn't love her anymore. Willow coaching her to say she wanted a different mother. And overlaid on each clip production notes. Maya's confusion equals authentic emotion. Maya crying equals emotional peak for episode 6. Use for custody angle. When the video ended, I spoke again. Chase Grant used my 8-year-old daughter as a prop in his show. He filmed her for 8 months. He coached her to distrust me. He scripted her words. He told her I was sick, that I was leaving, that she'd be better off without me. And he called it content. I paused, let that word hang. But Maya isn't the first child he did this to. I gestured to Jennifer. 4 years ago, Jennifer Wallace was engaged to Chase. He pitched her a reality show. She signed a contract. 2 months later, she found hidden cameras in her home, including her 14-year-old daughter's bedroom. Jennifer leaned toward her microphone. Her voice was steady, practiced from the deposition we'd done last week. I'm Jennifer Wallace. 4 years ago, Chase Grant convinced me to participate in a reality show called Millennial Love. He told me it would be fun, harmless, a way to document our relationship. I signed a contract. Then I found cameras in places I hadn't agreed to. My bedroom, my bathroom, my daughter Madison's bedroom. When I confronted him, he extorted me. $50,000 or he'd release footage designed to humiliate me. I paid. I signed an NDA, and for 4 years I stayed silent because I thought I was the only one. She looked at me. When I saw Dr. Grant's press conference 3 weeks ago, I realized I wasn't alone. And I realized if I stayed quiet, there would be more. More women. More children. So I'm here. Madison leaned forward next. She wore a CU Boulder sweatshirt, her dark hair pulled back, and when she spoke, her voice didn't shake. My name is Madison Wallace. I'm 18 years old. I'm a freshman studying psychology. 4 years ago, when I was 14, Chase Grant filmed me in my own home without my knowledge or consent. I didn't know about the show. I didn't know about the cameras. I thought he was just my mom's fiancé, someone I was supposed to trust. Her hands gripped the table edge. For 4 years, I've been in therapy, learning to feel safe again, learning that it wasn't my fault that I didn't do anything wrong. I wrote my college essay about privacy, about what it's like to find out someone recorded your most private moments and called it entertainment. She looked directly at the cameras. I'm here because Dr. Grant's daughter, Maya, is 8 years old. I don't want her to spend the next 4 years the way I did. I don't want her to be afraid in her own home. I want Chase Grant to face consequences so no other child has to go through what we did. The audience erupted in applause. Madison sat back, exhaled. I reached over and squeezed her hand. She squeezed back. Allison Hayes stood, addressed the room. We'll take a few questions, but first Dr. Grant has an announcement. I stood. Today I'm launching the Empowered Voices Foundation. Our mission is threefold. First, we provide legal and emotional support to survivors of hidden camera abuse. Second, we advocate for stronger privacy laws, particularly protections for children in media production. Third, we work with therapists and lawyers nationwide to create a network of resources so survivors don't have to navigate this alone. Melissa stood beside me. Since Dr. Grant's first press conference 3 weeks ago, we've received over 300 inquiries from women and men across the country who've experienced similar exploitation. This is bigger than one man. This is a pattern of abuse that thrives in silence. We're breaking that silence. A reporter stood. Dr. Grant, what do you say to other victims who are afraid to come forward? I looked at Jennifer, at Madison, then back at the cameras. You're not alone. Silence protects abusers. Speaking up protects everyone else. If someone is using your secrets, your trauma, your children as weapons, take that weapon away. Tell the truth first. We'll stand with you. Another reporter. What do you want to happen to Chase Grant? I want accountability. I want every woman who's been filmed without consent to know the law is on her side. I want every child protected from being exploited for profit. And I want Chase Grant to understand that he doesn't get to destroy lives for entertainment. Allison stepped in. One final question. A young woman in the front row. Is there anything else Chase did that the public doesn't know yet? I paused. Thought about the patient files, the 127 people whose privacy hung in the balance. Thought about Ryan Mitchell and the dead man's switch. Yes, but I'm saving that for the courtroom. The press conference ended. Media swarmed. Cameras flashed. Jennifer and Madison were surrounded by reporters, but they handled it with grace. Melissa fielded legal questions. I stepped outside into the April afternoon. The sun was bright, the air finally warm after the long Colorado winter. My phone buzzed. Messages of support. Strangers saying thank you. Clients saying they stood with me. One text from Maya's school. Mrs. Miller. Maya asked if she could come home early today. She says she misses you. I texted back, on my way. That night, I made Maya a promise I intended to keep. After everything I'd exposed, the only opinion that mattered was my daughter's. I got home from the press conference at 6 p.m. Maya was in the living room with Emma, the college student who babysat when I had to be away. They were building a Lego castle, and Maya looked up when I walked in her face, lighting up the way it always did when I came home. That look, that pure, uncomplicated joy was what I was fighting for. Mommy, look, we made a tower. It's beautiful, baby. I crouched down, hugged her. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and crayons. Thank you, Emma. I've got it from here. Emma left. I made Maya dinner, mac and cheese with broccoli on the side, and we ate together at the kitchen table while she told me about her day. Spelling test, she got 9 out of 10. Recess, she played tag with her best friend Zoe. Art class, she drew a picture of a rainbow. Normal. Safe. Exactly what an 8-year-old's life should be. At 8:30, I tucked her into bed. Read her a chapter of Charlotte's Web, her current favorite. She snuggled under her blankets with her stuffed elephant, and I thought she was drifting off when she spoke quiet and small. Mommy, Daddy's not coming back, is he? I sat on the edge of her bed, took her hand. No, sweetheart, he's not. Is it because of the bad things? My throat tightened. We'd talked about this before carefully with Dr. Susan's guidance on what an 8-year-old could understand. Daddy made some very bad choices that hurt people. So he's not going to live here anymore. Did he hurt me? I chose my words carefully. He did things that weren't okay, things that made you confused and scared, but none of it was your fault. Do you understand nothing that happened is because of you? Maya's eyes filled with tears. I miss him sometimes. Is that bad? No, baby, it's not bad. You can miss him and still be safe without him. Both things can be true. Emma's mom said you were on TV again. She said you're helping other kids. I smoothed her hair back from her forehead. I'm trying. I don't want any other little girl to feel the way you felt. When Daddy said you might go away, I got really scared. My heart cracked. I know, I'm so sorry that happened, but you didn't go away. No, and I never will, I promise. Maya looked at me with those gray-green eyes so much like mine. What if Daddy tries to make me go away? He can't. The law won't let him, and I will fight with everything I have to keep you safe. I took a breath. Maya, I need to make you some promises, okay? She nodded. First promise. You will never have to see the videos Daddy made. They're locked away, and only grown-ups who need to see them for the court case will see them. You don't have to watch them or think about them. Okay. Second promise. You'll keep talking to Dr. Susan as long as you want to. She's there to help you understand your feelings, and I'll be honest with you about everything when you're old enough. I like Dr. Susan. Good. Third promise. You get to choose who you talk to about this. If you don't want to tell your friends at school, you don't have to. If you want to tell them, that's okay too. It's your story, and you get to decide. Maya nodded serious. Fourth promise. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure no other kid goes through what you did. That's why I'm on TV, why I'm talking to people. So other mommies know they can protect their kids too. Like a superhero. I smiled even though I felt like crying. I'm not a superhero, I'm just your mom. But I love you more than anything in the world and I will always protect you. I love you too, Mommy. Do you trust me? Yes. I kissed her forehead. Then trust that everything I'm doing is to keep you safe. Okay? Okay. She yawned, her eyes already closing. Will you stay until I fall asleep? Always. I sat there holding her hand until her breathing evened out and she was fully asleep. Her room was soft and warm, nightlight casting gentle shadows on the walls, covered with her drawings, pictures of rainbows and families and dogs and flowers. The room of a child who should never have had to know what manipulation or exploitation meant. I kissed her one more time and left the door cracked open the way she liked. Went downstairs. My phone buzzed. Melissa. Trial's been fast-tracked. Judge Lawson scheduled it for 3 weeks from now, April 24th. Are you ready? I looked back up the stairs toward Maya's room. Thought about the 4 promises I'd just made. I just promised Maya I'd protect her. I'm ready. Good. Because Nathan Ross called. Chase's lawyer filed a motion to suppress evidence claiming illegal surveillance by James. It won't work, but they're getting desperate. Desperate men do dangerous things. That's what I'm worried about, the patient files. If he feels cornered, then we don't give him time to think. I sat on my couch, pulled out my laptop. 60 Minutes airs in 10 days. If we expose the blackmail threat publicly first, he can't use it without destroying himself. Federal HIPAA violations extortion blackmail. He'll be arrested before he can execute whatever dead man switch he's set up. It's risky if he releases the files before we can stop him. Then 127 people's privacy gets violated, and I lose my license, and everything I've built is gone. I know. But if we wait, he controls the timeline. If we act first, we control it. Melissa was quiet for a moment. Okay, I'll coordinate with the FBI. They'll need to be ready to move the second the show airs. Good. We hung up. I sat in the dark living room, the only light coming from the kitchen. Thought about Chase in some hotel room, thinking he had leverage, thinking he could threaten my patients and force me to back down. He didn't understand. I wasn't the woman he'd married, the one who'd trust him with the checkbook and believe his business trips and smile through his lies. I was the woman who'd watched 275 videos of her daughter being manipulated and decided that was the last child he'd ever hurt. He used my daughter. Now he was threatening my patients. He was about to learn I don't negotiate. My phone buzzed. James. Found the hacker's name. Ryan Mitchell. He was paid $15,000 by Chase. I have his address. Want me to approach him? I texted back. Yes, tomorrow. Offer him immunity if he cooperates. We need to know how the dead man switch works and how to disable it. James replied. On it. I set the phone down. 10 days until 60 minutes. 3 weeks until trial. Chase thought he had time to maneuver to threaten to control the narrative. He was wrong. 10 days before the trial, James called me with 3 words. He has everything. Before I tell you about the most dangerous 72 hours of my life, let me know if you were me. Would you choose stay silent or fight back? Drop your choice in the comments, and if you're still here with me at this moment, add the words, I'm here, so I know you haven't left. Your presence gives me the strength to tell the rest of this story. And I want to remind you, this story contains fictionalized elements for educational purposes. If you'd rather not continue now, is a good time to stop. I thought the worst thing Chase could do was film my daughter. I was wrong. He'd stolen the secrets of 127 people. James called at 11 p.m. 10 days before the trial. Victoria, come to the office now. I drove to Rhino, climbed into his surveillance van. James had his laptop open, face grim in the blue light. I cracked Chase's backup drive. There's a folder labeled Insurance-Patient Files. My stomach dropped. The folder contained 3 subfolders. Audio documents, video. I opened audio. 127 files each, labeled with a date and name. Mrs. _Patterson _Jan 24th, Marcus _Feb 24th, Sarah_November 23rd. I recognized every name, my clients. I clicked one file. Mrs. Patterson's voice filled the van. I found my son in the bathroom. He'd taken all my sleeping pills. I closed it, opened another. Marcus describing his nightmares from Afghanistan. Sarah crying about her assault, making me promise no one would know. He recorded every session, I whispered. September through February. Plus, he hacked your practice database. James opened documents, 68 PDF files, client intake forms, diagnoses, treatment notes, social security numbers. Everything. The video folder had 42 files, waiting room footage, therapy sessions, all of it stolen. When? Audio and video started in September. Database hack in October. He hired Ryan Mitchell, paid him $15,000. Ryan thought it was legitimate data recovery. I felt cold. There's a draft email, show me. James opened it. Unsent addressed to me dated 2 weeks ago. Victoria, you have 72 hours. Drop all charges. 50-50 asset split. Sign NDA. Joint custody. No restrictions. Comply, I delete the files. Don't I release everything? 127 audio files, 68 case histories, 42 videos. Public forums, medical boards, journalists. Your patient's secrets go public. Your license revoked. Your career ends. Choose wisely. See, I read it twice. Thought about Mrs. Patterson, Marcus, Sarah, 124 others whose trust I'd earned. He's going to send this. Unless you back down. I'm not backing down. Call Melissa and the FBI. 20 minutes later, conference call. Melissa, FBI. Agent Robert Kane from Quantico. Dr. Grant, this is extortion, computer fraud, HIPAA violations. Each file is a federal count. Kane's voice was calm. Problem is the dead man's switch. Automated system. If Chase doesn't disable it, every 72 hours files auto-upload to public websites. Even if we arrest him without the password, files go public. So we're trapped. Melissa's voice sharp. Not entirely. Get Chase to confess on record. We have grounds for immediate arrest. Do it publicly, so he can't trigger the switch before FBI takes him. You call him. Meet somewhere public. Wear a wire. Get the confession. Kane added, agents on site. Verbal threat, we arrest. Cyber team works with Ryan Mitchell to disable the switch. Harrington says Mitchell will cooperate. He will, James confirmed. He's horrified. He'll help. When I asked, tomorrow. Fast, clean, controlled. Next afternoon, 2 p.m. Aviano coffee in Cherry Creek. I wore a hidden microphone. James monitored from his van. Agent Kane and 3 others scattered around, dressed as customers. Chase walked in at 2:15, smiled, confident. Victoria, smart decision to call. I kept my voice low, scared. I can't let you hurt my patients. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want what's fair. What do you want? Drop the charges, 50-50 custody, split assets, sign NDA. Do that file stay private? How do I know you won't release them anyway? He laughed. Because then I lose leverage. I'm not stupid. You stole my patient's information. I protected my interests. You went to the press. I had to have insurance. I hired a guy 6 months ago, cost me $15,000. Got me access to your practice database, audio-video case files. Your patients trusted you with their secrets. Now I own those secrets. If I don't agree, then 127 people's private information becomes public. Their names, traumas, diagnoses, posted online, sent to employers' families. Your license revoked. Your practice shuts down. Maya sees her mother couldn't protect people who needed her. That's blackmail. He shrugged. That's negotiation. You fight me, 127 lives get destroyed. You back off, everyone stays safe. I stood. I need 24 hours. You have 12. I walked out. Got in my car, drove 2 blocks, met James. Melissa on video call. Did you get it? James played the recording. Crystal clear. Chase admitting he hired Ryan, stole files, threatened to release them. Extortion. Federal crimes. Agent Kane's voice. That's enough, but we need to disable the dead man's switch first. Ryan Mitchell's working with our cyber team. Best estimate 6 hours. We don't have 6 hours, I said. Chase gave me 12. Melissa leaned forward. Then we go public first. 60 Minutes airs in 3 days. Expose the blackmail on national television show the recording FBI arrests him when broadcast ends. He won't have time to react. And if he triggers it first, then 127 people's privacy gets violated. You lose your license, we still arrest him, but damage is done. It's a risk. But if we do nothing, he controls the timeline. I looked at James. He nodded. Ryan's good. He can disable it in 3 days. Okay, 60 Minutes live. We end this. Melissa smiled. He's done. 3 days later, the studio lights were hot, the cameras were live, and Chase Grant had no idea he was walking into a trap. 12 million people were watching. Chase thought he was there to defend himself. He was wrong. I stood backstage at CBS Denver studio at 5:30 minutes before we went live. The makeup artist had just finished, and I looked at myself in the mirror. Navy blazer, white blouse, hair pulled back, calm, professional. Like a woman who wasn't about to destroy her husband on national television. My phone buzzed. Maya video call from home with Emma. Good luck, Mommy. Thank you, baby. I'll be home soon. Are you scared? A little, but I'm doing this for you. Melissa knocked on the door, came in with her laptop. We'd spent the last 3 days coordinating with the FBI, with Ryan Mitchell disabling the dead man's switch, with David Whitaker's production team editing the evidence package. Everything was ready. Agent Kane and his team are in position, Melissa said. They're at the back exit. Once Chase makes a move to leave, they go. David Whitaker, the 60-year veteran journalist who'd moderated 1,000 interviews, stopped by. Dr. Grant, this will be the most watched episode of the year. Are you ready? I thought about 2:47 a.m. March 7th. Thought about Maya asking if I was going away. Thought about 127 patients whose secrets Chase had stolen. I've been ready since 2:47 a.m. March 7th. Good. We go live in 10 minutes. At 6 p.m. Mountain Time, the red light on the camera turned on. David sat at the center of the curved desk, me to his right, Chase to his left, with his lawyer, Stephen Bradley, beside him. The studio was cold from the air conditioning, but the lights were hot. 12 million people watching across the country. Good evening. David began looking directly at the camera. Tonight, a Denver family therapist, her husband's secret reality show, and a blackmail scheme targeting over 100 innocent patients. I'm David Whitaker, and this is 60 Minutes. He turned to us. Dr. Grant, 3 weeks ago you held a press conference accusing your husband, Chase Grant, of filming an illegal reality show and exploiting your 8-year-old daughter. He's denied everything. Today you say there's more. What proof do you have? I have his own words, I said. David nodded to the control room. The screen behind us lit up. Video footage, the kind Chase had filmed for his show, but this time it was him being filmed. Chase and Ryan Mitchell in Chase's office, September 2023. The timestamp was clear in the corner. Chase's voice on tape. I need access to her patient files, audio documents, everything. Ryan's voice uncertain. That's a HIPAA violation, federal crime. Chase dismissive. I'm paying you $15,000 to not care about that. The camera cut to the email threat enlarged on screen so 12 million people could read it. Victoria, you have 72 hours. Drop all charges or I release everything. 127 audio files. Your patient's secrets go public. Then the audio from Aviano Coffee 3 days ago, my voice and Chase's crystal clear. My voice, you stole my patient's information. Chase. I hired a guy 6 months ago. Cost me $15,000. Your patients trusted you with their secrets. Now I own those secrets. My voice, if I don't agree. Chase. Then 127 people's private medical information becomes public. You fight me in court, 127 lives get destroyed. The studio audience, 50 people invited to watch the taping, gasped. On screen, I watched Chase's face go pale. Stephen Bradley gripped the edge of the table. David turned to Chase. Mr. Grant, is this your voice on these recordings? Chase sat frozen for 5 seconds. Then, that's taken out of context. I leaned forward. What context makes threatening to destroy 127 innocent lives acceptable? You destroyed my career, Chase's voice rose. You destroyed yourself, I said. My voice was steady cold. The moment you put the first camera in my bedroom, the moment you filmed my daughter without her consent, the moment you stole my patient's medical records and threatened to weaponize their trauma. David held up a hand. Dr. Grant, you said earlier that every one of the 127 patients has been notified. None of their information has been released. Correct. The FBI recovered all files. We upgraded our security systems. No patient was harmed. The only person who committed a crime here is sitting across from me. Stephen Bradley stood. This is a setup. My client was ambushed. This evidence is inadmissible. Mr. Bradley. David said calmly, your client is not in a courtroom. Dr. Grant is simply telling her story. Chase stood abruptly. I'm done here. This is bullshit. He turned toward the exit, Stephen Bradley scrambling to follow. Mr. Grant, we're love, David called. You're walking off in the middle of... Chase kept walking, reached the back exit, pushed the door open. Agent Robert Kane stood on the other side with 3 FBI agents in tactical gear. Chase Grant. Kane said, his voice carrying across the silent studio, you're under arrest for violations of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, computer fraud and abuse under Title 18, United States Code, Section 1030, and extortion under Title 18, United States Code, Section 875. 2 agents moved forward, pulled Chase's arms behind his back, cuffed him. The camera crew kept rolling, 12 million people watching. Chase looked back at me, his face a mix of shock and rage. You destroyed me. I stood, walked to the edge of the set so I was in frame with him. No, you destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone knew. The FBI let him out. Stephen Bradley stood frozen, then followed phone already at his ear. The studio audience sat in stunned silence for 3 seconds, then erupted in applause. David Whitaker turned back to the camera. We'll be right back. During the commercial break, Melissa came on set, hugged me. It's over. Ryan disabled the dead man's switch 10 minutes before we went live. All files secure. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in 2 months. It's really over. The arrest part. The trial starts next week, but yes, he can't hurt anyone now. After the break, David interviewed me alone. Dr. Grant, what happens now? Chase faces federal charges. The trial will determine his sentence. But for me and Maya, we start rebuilding. We're safe. That's what matters. And your message to other survivors, I looked directly at the camera. Silence protects abusers. Speaking up protects everyone. If someone is using your secrets, your trauma, your children as weapons, take the weapon away. Tell the truth first. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just speak. The interview ended. I walked off set. Melissa drove me home. Maya was waiting, ran into my arms the moment I opened the door. Did you win, Mommy? Yes, baby, we won. That night, the video clip of Chase being arrested had 10 million views. The next morning, it was 20 million. By the end of the week, the clip had been shared across every platform, every country, a moment that became a cultural touchstone. The man who thought he could profit from pain, arrested live on national television. The trial began on a cold Monday in May, and I was ready. A courtroom isn't about truth, it's about evidence, and we had mountains. The trial began on a cold Monday in mid-May, courtroom 4 at Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse downtown. I sat in the front row with Melissa beside me, Jennifer Wallace on my other side. Maya was at school safe. Judge Margaret Lawson entered at 9 a.m. The jury filed in 12 people, 7 women, 5 men, diverse ages. They'd been selected yesterday. Now they sat with notebooks ready and looked at Chase. He sat at the defense table in a gray suit, Stephen Bradley beside him. Chase looked thinner, hollow-eyed. He didn't look at me. ADA Nathan Ross stood. Ladies and gentlemen, Chase Grant is a predator. For 6 months, he used cameras, contracts, and cruelty to exploit women and children for profit. He filmed his wife, her 8-year-old daughter, her therapy clients. When his scheme fell apart, he stole medical records of 127 people and threatened to destroy their lives. This is systematic abuse. The evidence will prove it beyond any doubt. Stephen Bradley stood. My client is a flawed man who made mistakes, but the prosecution will paint him as a monster. Dr. Grant went to the media before the police. She orchestrated a public trial first. Yes, my client filmed a reality show, but reality TV is not a crime. The rest is exaggeration and revenge. Chase Grant is not a predator. He's a man who loved unwisely. I kept my face neutral. The jury watched both lawyers, then turned to Nathan as he called his first witness. Day 2. James Harrington took the stand. He walked the jury through 3 weeks of surveillance, 89 videos, 14 hidden cameras with photographs, receipts, metadata. Stephen Bradley tried to argue surveillance of a spouse isn't illegal. Judge Lawson sustained Nathan's objection. James explained Colorado consent laws. The jury took notes. Jennifer Wallace testified that afternoon. Met Chase 2019, engaged 2020, found cameras extorted for $45,000. Bradley asked why she'd waited 4 years. Jennifer looked at him. Because I was ashamed. And he made me sign an NDA. But NDAs don't cover crimes, and I'm not staying silent anymore. Day 3, Madison Wallace testified. 18 CU Boulder freshman, clear and poised. Described being 14, filmed without knowing, 4 years of therapy. I wrote my college essay about privacy. I didn't name him then, but I'm naming him now. She pointed at Chase. He was going to do the same to Maya Grant. I'm here to make sure he doesn't get that chance. Dr. Susan Reynolds testified about Maya's videos. This is textbook psychological manipulation. The child was coached using leading questions and emotional coercion. The video, where Mr. Grant tells Maya her mother is sick, is particularly harmful. It's designed to create anxiety and distrust. This is abuse. Agent Robert Kane testified about the patient files, walked the jury through the hack, 127 audio files, the email threat, the Aviano confession, played the recording. Chase's voice admitting he'd hired a hacker, stolen records, threatened to release them. The jury's faces shifted from neutral to disturbed. Day 4, I took the stand. Nathan walked me through March 7th, the 65 photos at 2:47 a.m., the reality show contracts, the Maya videos. Dr. Grant, what did you feel when you saw those videos? I looked at the jury. I felt like I'd failed to protect her. I'd brought Chase into her life and he'd used that trust to hurt her. But then I realized I still had a chance. I could protect her by making sure he faced consequences. Stephen Bradley cross-examined. Isn't it true you wanted revenge for the affair? I wanted justice. There's a difference. You went to the press before the police. That's revenge. I went to the press to warn other women. I went to the police with evidence. I did both because both were necessary. You've profited from this story. Book deals, media appearances. I haven't signed any book deals. I've done media to advocate for privacy laws and support survivors. If that's profit to you, then yes. Bradley tried a few more angles, got nowhere, sat down. I returned to my seat. Melissa squeezed my hand. Day 5, the defense called 2 witnesses. A former colleague said Chase was hardworking, creative. A college friend said he was loyal. Character witnesses with nothing substantive. Nathan barely cross-examined. Stephen Bradley gave his closing. Chase Grant made mistakes. He had an affair. He filmed without proper consent. These are wrongs, but not the monstrous crimes the prosecution describes. Doctor. Grant painted a predator, but you've really seen a marriage that fell apart and a woman who wanted to make her ex-husband pay. Nathan stood. The defense wants you to believe this is about a bad marriage. It's not. It's about 127 stolen medical files, an 8-year-old child coached to distrust her mother, 14 hidden cameras, federal violations, extortion. Chase Grant didn't make mistakes. He committed crimes. Systematic, calculated, premeditated crimes. The evidence proves it. Hold him accountable. Judge Lawson turned to the jury. You've heard the evidence. You will now deliberate. Court is adjourned. The jury filed out. I stood and watched them disappear. Melissa turned to me. Now we wait. How long? Could be hours or days. Try to breathe. I sat back down. The courtroom emptied. I stayed staring at the empty jury box. The jury deliberated for 11 hours. I counted every minute. 11 hours, 660 minutes, 39,600 seconds. And then 3 words. We have. I sat in the courthouse cafe with Melissa and Jennifer, nursing cold coffee and staring at my phone. It was Tuesday afternoon, late May, and the jury had been deliberating since yesterday morning. Every time the door to the deliberation room opened, my heart jumped. but it was always just the bailiff delivering more coffee or lunch orders. What if they don't convict? I asked for the 10th time. Melissa set down her tablet. They will. The evidence is overwhelming. Jennifer squeezed my hand. Even if he gets 5 years, that's 5 years Maya and Madison are safe. My phone rang. Court clerk. Jury has reached a verdict. Reconvene in 20 minutes. I stood so fast I knocked my coffee cup over. Melissa grabbed napkins. It's okay. This is good. Fast verdict usually means guilty. Or not guilty because they think I'm lying. Victoria. Melissa held my shoulders. Breathe. You did everything right. Now we trust the jury. We walked back to courtroom 4. The hallway was packed with press cameras, supporters holding signs. Inside the gallery filled quickly. I sat in the front row, Melissa beside me. Jennifer and Madison sat behind us. The defense table was empty. Then Stephen Bradley walked in phone to his ear face grim. Chase followed, hands cuffed, escorted by marshals. He wore the same gray suit from opening statements, but it hung looser now. Judge Lawson entered. We stood. She sat. We sat. Bring in the jury. The 12 jurors filed in. I searched their faces for clues, but they looked straight ahead, professional, unreadable. They took their seats. Judge Lawson spoke. Has the jury reached a verdict? The 4-person stood. A woman in her 50s, teacher from Aurora. We have your honor. On count 1, unauthorized recording in a private residence under Colorado Revised Statute 18-7-801. How do you find the defendant? Guilty. My chest tightened. Melissa grabbed my hand. On counts 2 through 128 violations of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, each count representing unauthorized recording and theft of private medical information. How do you find? Guilty on all counts. Jennifer behind me whispered, thank God. On count 129, computer fraud and abuse under Title 18 United States Code, Section 1030. How do you find or calling guilty? On count 130, extortion under Title 18 United States Code, Section 875. How do you find? Guilty. On count 131, child exploitation under federal statute, how do you find? Guilty. Chase slumped in his chair. Stephen Bradley closed his eyes. The courtroom erupted in applause. Judge Lawson's gavel came down hard. Order. I will have order or I will clear this courtroom. Silence. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Melissa was crying beside me. Jennifer leaned forward, put her hand on my shoulder. I turned. Maya sat 3 rows back with Emma, our babysitter. I'd let her come today, let her see this moment. She gave me a small wave. I waved back, tears streaming down my face. Judge Lawson polled the jury. Each one confirmed guilty on all counts. Then she turned to us. Before sentencing, I'll hear victim impact statements. Jennifer stood first. 4 years ago, Chase Grant extorted me for $45,000 and made me sign an NDA to protect my daughter. Today I'm no longer silent and he can't hurt anyone else's daughter. That's all I need to say. Madison stood next. I'm 18. I'm a college freshman. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. And I'm not afraid of him. She looked at Chase. You filmed me when I was 14. You violated my home. You made me feel unsafe for 4 years. But I'm here now and you're going to prison. I win. I stood last, unfolded the paper I'd written last night. Read slowly. Chase Grant didn't just betray me. He betrayed our daughter, Maya, my patients, who trusted me with their pain, and every woman who believes privacy is a right. He filmed Maya for 8 months and coached her to distrust me. He stole medical records of 127 people and threatened to destroy their lives if I didn't stay silent. He turned trauma into ammunition and thought he'd get away with it. I looked up at him. He was staring at the table. You tried to make me small. You tried to make me doubt myself, to break me, to erase me from my own life so you could profit from the wreckage. But you didn't make me small. You made me unstoppable. You made me realize that speaking up isn't weakness, it's power. And you taught every woman watching this case that we don't have to stay silent when someone tries to destroy us. I folded the paper. I don't want revenge. I want accountability. I want you to know that what you did has consequences. And I want every survivor to know that justice is possible. I sat down. Maya was crying in the back row. Emma had her arm around her. Judge Lawson looked at Chase. Mr. Grant, you have engaged in a systematic pattern of exploitation, manipulation, and criminal conduct spanning years. You targeted vulnerable women. You exploited children. You violated the trust of medical patients. You showed no remorse, only calculation. She paused. I sentence you to 12 years in federal prison counts to run concurrent. You will pay $875,000 in restitution to cover financial damages, patient compensation fund, legal fees, and therapy costs for victims. You are permanently prohibited from working in media with children or accessing healthcare data. You will have no contact with Victoria Grant, Maya Grant, Willow Grant, Jennifer Wallace, or Madison Wallace for 25 years. Marshals, take him into custody. 2 marshals stepped forward, led Chase away. He didn't look back. A separate hearing that afternoon, different courtroom. Willow stood before the same judge. She'd pleaded guilty to conspiracy 2 weeks ago in exchange for testimony. Judge Lawson looked at her. Ms. Grant, you cooperated with the prosecution and expressed remorse. I sentence you to 18 months probation, 500 hours community service, and a $25,000 fine. You will continue therapy and have no contact with your sister or niece without their consent. Do you understand? Willow, thin and pale, nodded. Yes, Your Honor. She turned to me in the gallery. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. She left with her lawyer. Judge Lawson's gavel came down one last time. This court is adjourned. I walked out of the courthouse into late afternoon sun. Press waited on the steps. Cameras, microphones, questions. I stopped halfway down. Chase Grant will serve 12 years in federal prison. That's 12 years Maya is safe. 12 years other women are protected. But justice isn't just a verdict. Justice is what we do next. It's the laws we change the survivors. We support the conversations we have about privacy and consent and power. That's the work that starts now. 2 years later, I stood in the same place and barely recognized my life. 2 years, 730 days, and everything looked different. I stood in my new office on a November morning in 2025, watching snow fall over Washington Park. The space was smaller than my old Cherry Creek practice, just 3 therapy rooms instead of 5. But it was mine, truly mine, built on honesty instead of hidden cameras. My name on the door read Doctor. Victoria Grant, LMFT, Empowered Voices Counseling. Below it, in smaller letters, a safe space, always. My team had grown to 6. 2 licensed therapists, 1 trauma specialist, 1 office manager, 1 intake coordinator, and Emma Rodriguez Maya's former babysitter who now ran our outreach program. We saw 42 clients a week, most of them survivors of hidden camera abuse, revenge porn, or reality TV exploitation. Some had found us through the foundation. Others had seen the 60 Minutes episode, which continued to circulate online. A few had simply Googled "therapist who gets it" and landed on our website, the Empowered Voices Foundation. The nonprofit Melissa and I launched 2 years ago had become something I never imagined. We'd helped over 1,200 survivors across 19 states. Our legal fund had distributed $2.4 million to cover restraining orders, forensic IT audits, and civil suits. We'd pushed 8 states to pass stricter privacy laws, including Colorado's landmark Maya's Law, which made it a Class 3 felony to secretly record a child under 12 in a private space. We'd trained 47 victim advocates. We'd partnered with the FBI's Cyber Division. And last month, Netflix had greenlit a 4-part documentary series about our work set to premiere in early 2026. I still did the podcast. Empowered Voices had grown from a handful of downloads to over 12 million listeners. Each Tuesday, I interviewed a survivor, a legal expert, or a whistleblower. We talked about consent power technology healing. The episode featuring Jennifer and Madison Wallace had been downloaded 3 million times. The one where I read excerpts from Chase's sentencing, hearing 2 million. People wrote to say the show had saved their marriages, their sanity, their lives. I saved every message. Chase was approaching the end of his second year at FC1 Englewood, a low-security federal prison 20 miles south of Denver. He wouldn't be eligible for parole until 2034. I'd received 2 letters from him, both returned unopened. Melissa had filed a permanent no-contact order. The judge extended it to 25 years. I never wanted to hear his voice again. Willow had completed her 18 months of supervised release. She'd moved to Portland, changed her name, and started working at a nonprofit for domestic violence survivors. She sent Maya a birthday card in March with a short note, "I'm sorry, I hope one day you'll understand I was lost too." Maya had asked me if she should write back. I told her it was her choice, always her choice. She hadn't decided yet. Maya, my daughter, my reason for everything. She was 10 now, a 5th grader at a new school across town. She'd grown 3 inches, cut her hair into a bob, and developed an obsession with marine biology. Her bedroom walls were covered in drawings of jellyfish, sea turtles, and coral reefs. She took art therapy twice a week with Dr. Susan Reynolds, who reported that Maya's trauma markers had dropped significantly. She had 2 close friends, both girls who knew nothing about the trial. She laughed more. She slept through the night. Last week she'd asked me, "Mom, do you think other kids like me feel scared all the time?" I'd sat down beside her on the couch. "Some do, yeah." "Can I help them?" "You already are, sweetheart, just by being brave." She'd thought about that for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, but when I'm older, I want to do more." I believed her. That afternoon, I drove home early to cook dinner with Maya, her request spaghetti carbonara. We stood side by side at the stove, her hands cracking eggs while I stirred pasta. The kitchen smelled like garlic and parmesan. The radio played softly in the background. It was ordinary. It was perfect. "Mom," Maya said, not looking up from the bowl. "Yeah. Are you happy?" The question caught me off guard. I set down the wooden spoon and turned to face her. Her brown eyes, so much like mine, were serious searching. "I am," I said. "Are you—" She considered this carefully, the way she always did. Then she smiled. "Yeah, I think so." We ate dinner at the table, just the 2 of us. Afterward, Maya showed me her newest drawing, a woman standing on a stage holding a microphone with a crowd of people in the background holding signs that read, "You are not alone." She'd labeled it Mom's Last Podcast. "You think I should frame this one?" I asked. "Definitely." That night, after Maya went to bed, I sat in my home office and reviewed the notes for tomorrow's recording. It would be my final episode of Empowered Voices, not because I was done, but because the show had outgrown me. A major podcast network had offered to acquire it, hire a professional host, and expand it into a daily series. Melissa had negotiated a deal that gave the foundation 50% of the revenue and editorial control. I would stay on as executive producer, but I wouldn't be the voice anymore. Tomorrow I would record my last episode. I would thank the listeners. I would share Maya's story with her permission, which she'd given last week. I would talk about what justice really means. And I would end with a single line: "If you're silent, they win. If you speak, we all do." I looked at Maya's drawing on my desk. The woman on the stage looked strong. She looked free. 2 years ago, I'd walked into a courtroom and demanded justice. Now I was building something better. This is episode 200, the final chapter, and I'm finally ready to say goodbye to the woman I was at 2:47 in the morning on March 7th, 2024. I sat in my home studio, a converted guest bedroom with foam panels on the walls and a microphone I'd bought 3 years ago, and adjusted my headphones. Through the small window, I could see Maya in the living room curled up on the couch with a book about octopuses. She'd asked if she could listen to this recording. I'd said yes. She deserved to hear how her story ended, or rather how it continued. "My name is Dr. Victoria Grant." I began my voice steady, and for the past 2 years, this podcast has been my way of turning pain into purpose. Today, I want to share 4 truths I've learned, and then I want to answer the questions you've been asking me since the beginning. I took a breath. Truth 1: silence protects abusers. Every time we stay quiet because we're ashamed or scared or worried about what people will think, we hand power to the person who hurt us. Speaking up isn't easy. It's terrifying. But it's the only way the cycle breaks. When I held that first press conference in March of 2024, I was shaking so hard Melissa had to hold my notes. But 43 journalists showed up, and by the next day, 12 women had contacted the foundation to say, This happened to me too. Silence protects them. Speaking saves us. Truth 2. Evidence is everything. Feelings matter. Trauma is real. But in a courtroom, in a newsroom, in any room where you're asking to be believed, evidence is what changes minds. I had 89 videos, 14 camera receipts, a $3.2 million contract, bank transfers, metadata, timestamps, confessions. That's why I won. Not because I cried the loudest, but because I had proof. Truth 3. You are not alone. I know it feels like you are. I know you're lying awake at 3 in the morning wondering if anyone will believe you, if it's worth the fight, if you'll survive it. But there are 1,200 survivors in our network now, 47 trained advocates, a 24/7 hotline, legal aid in 19 states. You are not the first, and you're not fighting alone. Truth 4. Healing isn't linear. Some days I wake up and feel strong. Other days I see a camera in a coffee shop and my chest tightens. Maya has nightmares sometimes. I still flinch when someone stands too close. Recovery doesn't mean you forget. It means you decide what happens next. I pause, checking my notes. Now the questions. The ones you've been sending me for 2 years. Question 1. Do you regret going public? No. Not for a single second. Yes, it was hard. Yes, people said terrible things online. Yes, there were days I wanted to disappear. But staying silent would have been harder. It would have meant teaching my daughter that shame is stronger than truth. I refused to do that. Question 2. Have you forgiven Chase? No. And I don't have to. Forgiveness isn't a requirement for healing. Some people deserve to be held accountable, not absolved. Chase is serving 12 years in federal prison. He lost his career, his reputation, his freedom. That's not revenge. That's justice. And I sleep just fine knowing he's exactly where he belongs. Question 3. What about Willow? That one's harder. Willow was manipulated, yes, but she also made choices. She sent me 65 photos at 2:47 in the morning. She coached my daughter to say she wanted a new mother. She took $85,000 to play a role in my destruction. I don't hate her, but I don't trust her either. She's rebuilding her life in Portland. I hope she succeeds, but we will never be sisters again. Question 4. Do you still trust people? Yes, just differently. I'm more careful now. I ask more questions. I pay attention to patterns. But I haven't let one man's cruelty turn me into someone who sees danger everywhere. Maya has friends. I have colleagues, clients, a community. Trust isn't naive. Blind trust is. There's a difference. I glanced at the timer. 3 minutes left. If you're listening to this and you're scared to leave, scared to speak, scared no one will believe you, I want you to know something. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the evidence. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to take one step. Call the hotline. Text a friend. Screenshot the messages. Save the email. Document the bruise. One step, that's all. Resources are in the show notes. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE. The Empowered Voices Foundation has a 24/7 text line and free legal consultations. If you're a parent, talk to your kids about digital privacy. Teach them that no one has the right to record them without consent. And if you're a survivor, know this, you are not a victim. You're not even just a survivor. You are the author of your next chapter, and no one gets to write it but you. I took off my headphones and pressed stop. The studio was quiet. Outside the window, a robin landed on the fence. Maya looked up from her book and smiled. I walked into the living room. She set down the book and stood. Done? Done. What do we do now? I pulled her into a hug. Anything we want. Chase Grant is currently approaching the end of his second year of a 12-year sentence at FCY Englewood. He will be eligible for parole in 2034. Willow Grant lives under a new name in Portland, Oregon, where she works with survivors of domestic violence. Jennifer and Madison Wallace are advocates for federal privacy legislation. Maya Grant is a 5th grader who loves marine biology and wants to be a scientist. Doctor. Victoria Grant continues to run Empowered Voices Counseling and serves as executive producer of the Empowered Voices podcast network. Recovery isn't forgetting what happened. It's deciding what happens next. And Victoria Grant decided to turn her pain into power, not for revenge, but so that everyone who needed to know they could do the same would have a map to follow. If this story helped you, share it. If you need help, ask for it. If you're ready to fight, we're ready to stand with you. You are not alone. You never were. And to you listening to this story, remember this: God gave us free will, but He also gave us wisdom to recognize when someone is using that freedom to harm us. I prayed every night during those dark months, asking God not to take away my pain, but to give me the strength to transform it into protection for my daughter. God doesn't promise us lives without betrayal, but He promises us the courage to survive it. And when I stood in that courtroom, I felt His hand on my shoulder, reminding me that seeking justice isn't about revenge, it's about honoring the truth He calls us to live by. Looking back at my own story, I see clearly now I ignored the signs because I wanted to believe in the version of my life I'd built. Don't be like me. Don't wait for 65 photos at 2:47 in the morning to shatter your denial. If your gut is screaming, listen. Family betrayal cuts deeper than any stranger's cruelty because it comes wrapped in love and history. But family revenge, the kind that destroys from within, only wins when we stay silent. My advice: document everything. Trust your instincts. And understand this family betrayal doesn't make you unlovable. It reveals who was never worthy of your trust. Family revenge may feel tempting, but true justice comes through legal action, not retaliation. Family revenge destroys everyone. Family betrayal only destroys you if you let it. I chose recovery. I chose my daughter. I chose to be the author of my next chapter. Now it's your turn. What will you choose? If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel so you never miss a story of survival and strength. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. Please note, upcoming stories may contain fictionalized elements created for educational purposes. If you prefer different content, feel free to explore other options on this channel. You are not alone. You never were.